Hey everybody, it's Elizabeth Varian here. I'm running just a little bit late. We were having some technical difficulties. As you can see, I'm on my laptop camera. We got a lot of noise behind us as there's a Bible study that switched from Wednesday to Tuesday nights. I don't know if anyone's going to be out there or not, but I'm going to go ahead and continue recording anyhow. So, first off, I'm going to say I don't know that I like creating all these videos because now I'm living a lot of the topics that we're discussing in ways I don't necessarily appreciate or I'm not enjoying them, such as if you look at your life and you see consistent frustrations that keep popping up, you will go to look at things that we're going to talk about tonight. So, such as having a Bible study switch from a Wednesday night to a Tuesday night without your knowledge when you purposely created a video on one night. Understanding the root is I've created this, all this background noise. I've created this event that I'm experiencing. It's not just about how I show up. It's I've created this. And in Webmaster for Hire, I had a similar event where I'm frustrated. And I'm going to be honest with my frustration because I'm human. And if I can use this current situation that I'm in to help educate you, even better, right? Get some bonus points out of it. So the ladies are leaving, so it'll be quieting down here shortly. But basically, in my Webmaster for Hire company, I had a client that I was feeling the same emotional frustration. And so what I did to kind of figure out, okay, wait a minute. I created this event. I created this study changing without my knowledge, without this. How am I feeling about it? Well, I'm feeling disrespected. Why am I feeling disrespected? Because it felt like someone else is making a decision that is out of my control, but it's affecting what I'm doing. And then when I looked at a situation I'm having in Webmaster for Hire with a client, it's the exact same frustration. I'm feeling out of control based on somebody else's decision that's affecting me in a not positive way. Now, look, we get a vacuum cleaner going too. So we just deal with the fact that we created this. And so now I've got to go and look, how did I create this? When I have two events that are simultaneous where people are disrespecting me or I feel disrespected, I have to shift back to a lot of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, as in, one moment. I'm on a live video. Sorry. Okay, let's continue on. So you have to go back and look at all of this was created somehow by something that we're going to be discussing tonight. And so did I focus on, did I intentionally think on this for an extended period of time? So what do I have to do? Well, I have to shift this. You can't control other people, but you do know that the experiences that you're in, you've brought and attracted to you. So knowing that this has happened and I'm dealing with it, and connecting it to what happened with the client and seeing the pattern is exactly how I'm going to start working on shifting this out so that I am not going to continue to experience being disrespected in my time based on other people's decision. I'm going to shift my thinking to people do respect me. People do appreciate my time and people are working with me. And so now I know that I've seen a pattern. I have to make the choice to make a change. So hopefully, living and experiencing this now, I smile through that you know, I mean, let's be honest, I'm human. I want to and I kind of want to say, is it rude that I want to be angry at a Bible study? But, you know, it is what it is. And it's also a good opportunity to use it as an example of what I'm going through right now, to give you the, hey, this is an example of manifestation. At some point, through not being intentional with thoughts, not being intentional with focus, not being intentional with pretty much anything in that regards, I have brought this on. So the client started in December when the choices were made that affected the work that we were doing for them. And this has just happened. So, you know, law of attraction, it says, Abraham Hicks says that, you know, what you're living through right now, you're going to continue living through because you've attracted it. So you just get through it and then shift yourself in your thinking and create those affirmations, create your focused intention, and then get on the other side of it where you don't create this again. So if my having gone through this is useful and helpful to you, then bonus. So I'm going to move this video out of my way so I'm not seeing it anymore. And YouTube video folks, sorry that this is going to be a little grainy because I'm going to download from Facebook. We're going to move this over here. And if folks show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. But tonight, we're going to be talking about how we create in life. And so, like I said, I'm kind of not sure that I want to keep doing these teachings, but it's also good because it does help me to remember I created this. I take full control that this was an experience I'm going through because I set the intention unknowingly or subconsciously on that autopilot to experience it. So I guess it's a good leeway into how are we creating in life. So to sum up, the law of creation in one word is karma, you know, but it's not like what people think. Karma, most people think, you know, oh, well, if you're a jerk, you're going to get someone being a jerk to you. Those are actions. And yes, that is something, you know, that it sums it up, but it goes beyond actions or, you know, a state of being. You know, it also in the Bible consistently says, judge not, lest ye shall be judged. And the way you judge others will be measured out and judged to you. It ultimately is saying karma, how you're placing judgment on another being, you will notice will come back and be placed exactly the same way you judge someone else will be placed on you. If you judge someone negative based only on their actions and not just finding out what the story behind is, someone's going to judge you based on your actions without finding the behind story or the backstory. So that is a good introduction, I would say, into law of creation. Now, when I talk of law of manifestation, I always say there's three laws: law of creation, law of attraction, and the law of allowing. And the first one I always state is law of creation. Abraham Hicks says law of attraction, and I've said it many, many times before. It doesn't matter which one you think is the first one. The reality is we're always living in all three laws. So right now, as you can feel my energy, I am living a creation, you know, I am in the creation that I had, or experiencing the manifestation of something I created. And because it showed up in two events that got my attention. It should have got my attention in the first one, but, you know, apparently I needed a second event to really get me. So that was created. And then I had to attract it after I had focused on this. And then the law of allowing, I let it go, and then poof, it showed up. So right now, I'm experiencing a manifestation. I'm creating, trying to shift the frustration that I have right now, trying to shift that energy to one of gratitude, love, which is what I was doing while I was watching the clock tick down and not start at 8. And even if nobody shows up, I still want to record just in case someone does. So I was talking myself through it. You know what? You created this. Take ownership of it. So what am I doing? I'm recreating, because as long as I stay in that energy, I'm just going to keep bringing on more. So I recreate that energy, and then I'm starting to create for new, for future, for going ahead, right? And at the same time, as I'm shifting my energy, I'm coming down, I'm getting happier, and decided, well, let's just use this as the intro because I'm going through it right now. What a better opportunity do you have to explain manifestation than this? So now I'm attracting as I'm changing my energy, and I need to focus on that client and change my thoughts and energy towards that client as well. So that the thought and idea that people are making decisions that I have no control over, but they affect me in a negative way, I shift that out to people are coming to me about decisions and letting me be part of the decisions that affect me. And then we are flowing in energy together to be respectful of each other. So that starts creating the law of attraction. And then once I let it go, which is going to be when this video is over, actually, once I get started, I'm totally going to be letting it go. That's law of allowing. So we're always in all three laws. Right now, I have let go something that I had created and attracted prior to. Right now, I am in the middle of attracting, and I'm also creating or recreating as I'm teaching to you. So all three laws exist simultaneously. There's no time continuum as to this one stops, this one starts, this one starts, after this one stops. It's continual. We are thinking consistently all day long, all night long. When we go to sleep, we're replaying. Our mind is filing things away. We wake up, boom, we start again. Now, the problem is do you want to stay on autopilot, or do you want to shift to be intentional? The only way that you can actually be intentional and not end up in a scenario where you're frustrated and ready to strangle people is by getting the knowledge of exactly what are those things, what is it that is creating, what are the things within us that we're doing or in our environment on how we create. And so I thought we need to cover that. So since I say law of creation is the first law, because once you create, then you attract, then you let go, and the law of allowing, then it comes about. Even though it's simultaneous, it's continuously going. It's not always the exact same topic. So let's get started on the various ways that you're actually creating. Can you see my energy is just totally coming down and I feel the release? So that's positive. Okay, so I wanted to touch first on biblically. Biblically stated in Matthew 7, chapter 7, verses 7 through 11, it says, ask, seek, and knock. We know that verse if you're a Christian. Everyone knows, ask and ye shall receive, or answer, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open. And this, again, I'm going to reiterate, is not a religious teaching, but it's a good place to start. Because if you do know Abraham Hicks or are familiar with him, they have a book called Ask, Seek, Knock. I think it's Knock, but I know it's Ask and Seek. And they use the same verse to show the law of attraction and manifestation. So ask if I'm stuck on a question or in a problem, which I was here and today dealing with a client, I use this ask actually. Okay, what's the connection? Is exactly what I asked. And I didn't try and seek the answer immediately. I just stayed still. I opted for recording the video for tomorrow night on my cell phone. So it'll be considerably different background and everything, because I needed a solution in the interim while music was being played and overt laughter was happening. So instead of staying in anger and frustration, I started with ask. So if I'm stuck on a problem, I can't solve it, ask is what will happen. Typically outside of, in the moment, I need an answer now, which I got an answer instantly because I was able to connect. Wait, this emotion is the same thing I had over here. Came to me. And then I connected what was I saying about both situations. And it was the exact same thing. Decisions made out of my control and that felt disrespectful and caused more work and frustration for me. So that told me right there the consistency between the similar events that I created it and what it was I was focusing on. Outside of that event, I will typically journal, or like I just did, which was speak out to myself. I might speak out to other people kind of rhetorically, knowing that they may not have the answer, but I know speaking it out to someone else, just that having their ears, that the answer will come to me. Having intentional focus in my mind on the problem, not on the problem, but as a question. So how can I create more effectively? What is the solution? Is there something else I should know, et cetera, et cetera. And then I leave it alone and I forget about it, which is the law of allowing. The focus created seeking the answer and the connection. Having that intent on it created the attraction, and the letting it go allowed it to come sooner. So, but what I asked tonight that I didn't even write down on my notes was, what is this frustration I'm feeling? It's the same thing I was feeling earlier. What's the connection between these two events so I know how I created it? I'm very specific in my questions so that I can get to the answer quicker. I don't ask questions like, why did this happen? It never brings an answer. And if it does, it just brings more of the why into my life, me doing whatever it was that brought this event upon me. And if I get more specific, like I did, how are these two connected? What are the similarities? How did I create this? And then how do I shift this out? Okay. The faster I shift to the law of allowing, I'm going to say consistently, is the faster the resolve will come about. Just so you know, next week we're going to discuss the timeline about creation to manifestation. A few years ago, I learned to ask a very powerful question that I thought was very powerful because it really changed my life. And that was, what is it that I don't know about? And I did, insert like business, success, finances, personal relationships. And in actuality, we're born with a considerable amount of connection to knowledge and wisdom. Forget considerable amount. We're connected to God Almighty, infinite source, universe. We are tapped into all knowledge and all wisdom. And by asking what it is that I don't know, it's more connecting to the answer. So there's a couple ways you can say it. You can say it the way I learned, which is, what is it that I don't know about, increasing my business, bringing in the right ideal client, managing my money better, bringing in, shifting and creating a savings account, a retirement account, buying a house, whatever it is. You can also ask, if you don't like that phrase, you can also ask, how can, connect me, or let me, because I like the let me connect to the answers that I need, that will help me, that will serve me to do XYZ, to grow my business, everything I just said. So asking for connection to the answer, or what is it that I don't know about, insert, is a very powerful connection, because usually we only ask about things that we know we need to know. But there's so many things in life that isn't in. I mean, think about yourself like a horse with the blinders on. It's not in this realm. It's just outside, and we're not looking there. And it's best to always ask, where should I be looking? And how can I get? Because it'll open up even more possibilities, and your level of comfort opens up. Your knowledge and your awareness of knowledge opens up. So questioning is one of the first ways, or one of many ways, that we create. When we're asking questions, and pay attention to a question maybe you've asked someone even flippantly, and all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. My dad asked me a question about, I created a book, I was going to tell you guys about it, called I Am a Money Magnet, and it's got affirmations and things in here. And my dad, who doesn't understand a lot of the law of attraction, says, I don't understand. Who's going to buy that? Why would somebody want that? And I'm like, well, people who understand affirmations, you know, they want to have that visual, and it drives that connection to the, embedding I am a money magnet. Well, he only asked me this question. Even though I answered him, his brain didn't connect to it. Yet 2 days later, he's on Facebook and started seeing a friend of his was going to these vision board parties. He made sure when I got home from work saying, come here, just a second. It took him forever to find it on his timeline, on his mobile phone. He's like, look at this. And I'm looking, and I started laughing. Why? Because he's not connecting to the fact that him asking me about manifesting and why people would do something connected him to seeing this post about his friend and her friends having fun creating vision boards. So asking a question connected him to an answer, or to seeing something that he did on autopilot. I can see it because I know these laws, so it just makes you giggle a lot more, right? So that's the first one. What's the next one? Well, we said ask, seek. So seek, obviously, biblically, is the next one. And what does that mean? So seek means, in plain English, to search, and research with intention is preferred if you're going to do it on purpose. So have you ever been like searching for something and, lost keys, a part that you need to buy for something? I had a refrigerator filter I had to find, I couldn't find it on the site. Or you're trying to find an answer, you need to do something. Well, you start researching and looking and finding different ways to do stuff. And this book, actually, I have a good example for that is, when I created this book. But we'll get to that in a minute. But, while you're looking and stuff, you're not finding it. But do you notice that once you forget about it, poof, all it shows up, all of a sudden it shows up. So your seeking was the creation, the intention being, the intention being the attraction. The release is law of allowing. See why I taught law of allowing first? If you didn't watch the video, go back, watch the video. So, I'll use seeking when I want to go to a new level with something, or do something in a different way, in my life, in my business, one of the other ways. So I want to lose weight. I'll start seeking various answers, let it go, and let the answer come to me. And you'll be amazed how you will lose a few pounds even without working out or changing diet. And I think I've said it in another video, last week's video in the daily routine, that you can create and attract weight loss without working out and without dieting intentionally if you focus on the manifestation of weight loss. But I prefer to be controlled of my routine, because what you'll find is your parking spot will be all the way at the end, the last row, the last spot, so that you burn the calories every time. You know, you will stop getting as hungry and go, I don't want any more. You'll lose your taste for the dessert. You'll lose your taste for the bread or whatever it is, and you'll lose weight. You're doing it without realizing you're doing it. So you can manifest without actually doing. But in my opinion, I would rather be in control of paying attention to creating a plan, because I don't like to park at the far end. So seeking, I will go out and I will seek different ways to, create that. And then I'll use that plan, I'll use law of manifestation to get me to the gym, to get me to be consistent with the diet. I'll research new ways by promoting my business. I'll watch YouTube videos, which I've done last week, that actually shifted my energy. There's a gentleman that I watched that my thinking was over here. He shifted it to over here. And I didn't actually make the intention of shifting it. I just watched the videos and I said, you know what? I really wish I thought like he did. And the next day, all of a sudden, I was thinking very similarly. And I'm like, aha, I know what this is. I created this. So seeking, you really start, researching, not just asking. You're just looking for the answers and researching various, learning a new hobby or whatever. So knock is the one people have a problem with. To me, knock is an action. So it means stepping out in faith and the door will open. Good example, which I have a lot of examples here on the various things to kind of help you out. I decided in now we're going to age myself. In 1995, actually it was 94 to 95, I decided to move to Minnesota in 94. And I had made that decision with a friend that I was going to move. I had no idea how I was going to move. I had no idea how I was going to afford it. I was in my mid-20s, 24-ish. And I was, just that was my intent. And the friend ended up backing out for various reasons, but I still kept my intent. Nope, I am moving. I said I was going to move. I'm moving. And what happened was when I made the decision, I went and found an agency to find me a job, and I looked at another agency to give me a list of possible roommates. And by doing that, out of the blue, in fact, I tried to get away from him because I was like, I don't think this one's for me. But a guy showed up who ended up being a place to stay, who became a boyfriend, and he became a place to stay when I went up to go on job interviews. I didn't connect because I wasn't as educated with all the correct process and language and recognition as I am now with laws of manifestation. So I didn't recognize he was a boyfriend used by God and universe to, be a stopping point for me to get to my goal and my manifestation. So I tried to make him a lifetime boyfriend. And you'll see when you look back on your past relationships, which ones were only being, used as tools to help you get to whatever manifestation that you were creating. And you'll also find that you've been used as tools to help other people get to their law of manifestation. We're all connected, so we're all helping each other without realizing it's not a negative. So he helped me to have a place to stay so that when I was going up, I had could go one way or the other. We quite literally broke up right before I moved up, the week before Christmas, and I moved up New Year's Eve. Actually, a few days before New Year's Eve, I moved my stuff up. So the roommate that I had originally thought I was going to have fell through when I got the job. Now, I only interviewed for one job, and it was me and another person. All I did was inspired action. I just called up the agency finding me the job, just checking in. Hey, have you heard anything? And I did it a couple times. back then I was shy. That wasn't something I would normally do on my own. But I felt the nudge. So that's your inspired action. And I called. I got the job because I called. Quite literally, they said they couldn't decide between me and the other person. And the agency said, well, Elizabeth has actually called a couple times. She seems the most interested. We haven't heard from the other person. I got the job. One moment, please. So inspired action, a person being shifted in my life, and then the ideal roommate situation, which, you know, he was the best roommate ever. I appreciated him. It was enjoyable. Simply platonic, but very enjoyable. Good friend. And so that fell into place right as I needed it. So that meant the other one was there just to entice me to know that I could get the situation that was affordable. But the right one came along right the second I needed it. I quite literally moved up the weekend of the 1st, which going from Iowa to Minnesota was very cold. However, by using knocking, by stepping out in faith, by taking that action without worrying and fretting or having fear or wondering how things are going to come into place, not focused on the how, just stepping out in faith made it possible. And I lived there for 2 years and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So combining all three of those, I have created this book. The creation of this book came about because of literally all three of these ask, seek, and knock. So I had the idea come up because I had created, one moment, I had created last year for myself a book with my intentions, the exact intentions, you know, with my name on it, with my specific goals on it, that I was attracting. Oops, that doesn't show you anything. I didn't think about anybody else, just like this group. I didn't think about anybody else. I just knew I wanted something to visually have quite literally here in my desktop. So I'll show you a neat little trick while I'm here. You take 2 binder clips. Let's go this way. You take 2 binder clips and you can create a stand so that it holds it up when it's in the middle and it's sitting down on the desk. So you just have one, open one up, put it here. So if you're ever looking for something for your desk for holding a picture or something, binder clips. There's a little added bonus for you. So I would set it on the correct way. I set it on my desk like this. And what I would do throughout the year is I would open up to an intention and I would set it so that anytime I'm on my laptop and turning and talking to someone on Skype, because I work off this other monitor the most of the time, I could see it. Well, the notion came to me as, Elizabeth, it's not just about you. What? It's not just about me? What's wrong with this world? I thought everything was about me. It's about everybody. And so I asked a couple people, you know, what did they think? Would they use it? And so I created, and actually I've made some adjustments. This is my demo. This one I really love, which is I am in my power to attract money. And on the other side, money comes to me in expected and surprising. Now, this is one of the fixes. Way, I changed to ways with an S. In creating this, though, here's one you girls will like. Look how gorgeous that is. Money is pouring into my life from all directions, right? And I fixed that too. That's why we order demos. But when I created this for myself, I ordered retail order. And I ordered my intention book last year. I ordered 4 or 5 copies. I have one on my desk, one in my purse, one by my bed, one at my prayer chair, and then I think there was a fifth one that I put somewhere else. And no matter where I was, I would have it wherever I felt connected to be visualizing. And so because it was retail, I ran into some issues of, okay, how do I make this so that I can sell it through the Joyful Living store? So the first thing I used was ask. I asked myself, and I posed questions to a couple of other people rhetorically, people who wouldn't really know the answers, but I knew asking would connect me to the answer. Then I would, help people to create this product, or help me to create the product. Then I spent hours researching. So by spending the time researching suppliers online on Christmas Day, that was seeking. I asked people what they were manifesting. Did they appreciate the book? Would they want to buy the book? And then I posed out loud my problems and dilemmas of cost, shipping, making sure I could have inventory and things like that. Then I sought answers of various suppliers online pretty much all Christmas Day. You guys were opening gifts, and I did that too, but then I had a computer on my lap after that, researching like crazy. And then I acted with knock, because while I was in Law of Allowing looking for answers, I started compiling all of the various affirmations so that I could feel which ones I connected to intuitively to add to the book. So when I shifted to the acting, I went to Law of Allowing over here, stepped out in faith that I knew something was going to come about. And now I found, and I couldn't believe I couldn't remember it, outside my blinders was a supplier I had once used before, and I was able to get the cost to where I wanted it so that I could afford to give this at an affordable price. And I was able to shift to Law of Allowing by going into the knock. Hope that helps you understand, that entire way of using it. It literally took me from 1 week to get the answer from asking and going through seeking and shifting to knocking and going on to allowing for me to get the entire thing created. So this arrived yesterday. I had finished it on the 1st. I was working till 2 a.m. on the 1st, New Year's Eve, I saw the ball drop because I was creating this. And then it arrived a week later. So timeline, again, we're going to talk about next week. But you can utilize all 3 things to intentionally create. You don't have to, but I used it consistently, with deep intention. So that's the biblical starting point of various ways that we create. However, there's actually a lot more, and there are Bible verses that support this. So what are those? Thoughts. The Bible says to take every thought captive for the glory of God and for the good of God. In Philippians, it tells you to think on these things, all that is good, good report, noteworthy, et cetera, et cetera. It's the final chapter of Philippians. But what you're thinking about consistently or a lot or with intense focus, whether it be negative or positive self-thought, thinking about whether something is going to happen or not happen, it's going to bring it about, which is what I think created tonight's frustration and the frustration in my business. An example, though, of thinking that happened to me when I was working at a hotel, when I was in my early 20s, there was a company party. And I was working in a department where I had to start the job there, and they were going to have somebody come and relieve me at a certain time so that I could then go and participate in the holiday party. But the whole time, being the oddball out and the one not there and low self-esteem and whatever excuse you want to attach to it, the reality is, as I created the events that happened, I focused the entire time that they're forgetting about me. I don't matter. I don't count. Oh, what happens if they don't show up? How am I going to deal with this tomorrow? The entire time. And guess what? Nobody showed up. They forgot about me. It wasn't them that forgot about me. I created it. I have to take ownership. It was my misaligned thinking and my stinking thinking and the focus and the intent that caused that experience. Because in all seriousness, they didn't, like me. I had worked with them for years. We had a good working relationship. So by focusing on negative, you bring about negative. The experience I had tonight and with the client, I had to have thought about and focused on at some point, and now I need to use the thoughts to shift it out. And energy, you notice your body changes. You're less tense. You're more free. So thinking is a way we create. Focus on consciously or subconsciously with audio and videos or visual. And I didn't add that in there, but I probably should add video games in there. A lot of times you don't realize that what's in your environment out here that you're taking in here, the mind does not differentiate between reality, television or movies, or audio as not being real. This is real, that isn't. Your mind just absorbs it in, files it away, and then it starts projecting out. So television shows. I was watching, and I love these detective shows, but there was this real detective, and then they did reenactment shows. And I started noticing all of a sudden I was getting fearful for going home or being out on my own. And I was like, oh, I'm watching that show. Well, I recognized the emotion before I had to experience anything. So I stopped watching the show and shifted what I watched during the day. Now, I didn't watch these shows intentional or full focus. I'm working. I have this laptop here. I have this monitor here, and the TV is up there. So it's going on, and my brain is touching the tips of what's going on while I'm working, unless I have to focus intently on something. So I have it playing in the background, but it doesn't matter. It's still seeped in. What you're watching is still seeping into your life. You watch those reality shows, and for some reason you can't get along with other people. The women on those reality shows don't get along with each other. They gossip about each other. They're not trustworthy for telling them secrets that they're going to run and tell somebody else. They talk behind each other's backs. All of that stuff, if you notice it playing out in your life and you're not talking about it, it's not who you are, might be those television shows you're watching. Same with movies. Music and songs. I actually have a couple of playlists, about 3 of them, where they're intentionally created because I know that music can create. I now have a playlist with Karen Drucker that I posted in the manifestation group last week on the Raise Your Vibration Thursday. I ended up going, I should be listening to that during the day because her music is positive affirmations. So I went through all her songs and I found the songs that I specifically wanted, that I wanted to keep showing up in my life. And this morning I woke up singing the gratitude song, gratitude in the morning, gratitude all around me. And I started feeling positive and grateful. So what you listen to will show up in your life, music included, which is why I say I won't listen to Adele and her sad, you left me, you're no good for me songs. I love Adele. I have her CD, but I realized every song on the CD that I had was going against the intention that I wanted to manifest, which was a relationship. You can't sing about, you're gone, you've done me wrong, and all these other things, and then want a relationship. So I shifted in, I have Josh Groban's, the next time I fall in love, it'll be with you, or the songs by Train, Marry Me, and other songs that they have, and quite a few songs in there. So I have the playlist specifically knowing that music will come out in my life, so I create them to purpose and intentionally create events and experiences in my life and get a mind shift that are necessary. I do the same thing with Imagine Dragons. I have a playlist of specific songs of theirs. It's a considerably different sound because theirs is amped up. And so I will have those and I'll listen to them in the morning because they're exactly what I want before I come to work. Same with podcasts. Podcasts are like online radio and they're becoming very popular. So I'll listen to business podcasts or podcasts by Tony Robbins or somebody else that is trying to improve my life. I will not listen to books where people are complaining, gossiping, or using words that go against my intention. If they're talking about debt-free or if they're talking about things that are negative and then dash-free, I won't listen to them because they seep in. YouTube videos, that's what I did with Karen Drucker's. Conversations, spoken or typed, serious or joking. I'll give you an example of that in a minute, which I did not appreciate on both of those. But you got to pay attention to what you're talking about. And I say this, I can connect that event is I complained about the one client making a decision that was out of my control that affected me. And I have been complaining verbally about it since December 12th. So we are almost a full month later. No wonder tonight showed up. Ugh, now I get it. Okay, ding, ding on me. So verbally I was complaining about it. Guess what? What you complain about keeps showing up. Stop complaining and start talking about the opposite. Something shows up you don't like, talk about the opposite. Someone's running you don't want into office, talk about the positive about the person you do want in office. The more you focus on what you don't want, the more you get what you don't want. More you focus on what you do want, the more you get what you do want. Same works in conversation. Phrases. We all have those catchphrases either from our family, from our upbringing, phrases we've created, phrases we've heard on TV, phrases we've heard here, there, and everywhere. You got to be cautious. You know, it's what you're saying to other people. The Bible says there's life and death in the tongue. So using phrases like I was raised with hearing 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, that's a block. You want to have phrases, you know, like, you know, everyone is conspiring to bless me. Woo! Everybody wants to hand me money. Woo! You know, everything is working forward. I go 5 steps forward, only forward. I'm a forward-moving person, which actually used to be one of my phrases. I used to say it all the time. I can only move forward. And I used to use it because in Minnesota, I walked around the lakes, Lake Calhoun. Oh, I miss Lake Calhoun. 3 miles around. You get halfway, you start whining too bad. You still have to go the other way because your car's on the other side. And unless it's wintertime, iced, you can't walk across. I moved to Florida, you can't walk around the ocean. And so I used to say, I'm a forward-thinking person. My body and my mind can only move forward. So I would walk around a car, I would walk around a tree, something, so I was always moving forward. Well, that actually is a positive catchphrase, if you will, or a statement. I'm always moving forward. So some examples of the above, of the speaking or typing a conversation. So I had a friend and I were having a conversation on Facebook, and she was making fun of PCs, which mine are PCs. She had a Mac, and she was talking about how easily it was to hack into a PC and why they loved Mac better and blah, blah, blah. And I commented with intention, I've never been hacked. You know, my PC is perfectly fine. You know, like, the word no was the focus. Never and no are pretty much the same. So by saying I've never been, guess what happened the next day? I was hacked. So, and I connected it right away. You know, once you learn this stuff and once you get it down, you really do connect things a lot faster. And so I did. I connected it and I'm like, oh man, I should have disengaged, which is what we should all do on Facebook. We should disengage in all the negative junk because it just keeps showing up more. So that was an example of a typed conversation. Let's talk about a television show. And this is actually a positive. I didn't want to have just negatives. I have a couple of negatives on here because I think they really get your attention. You can also look back in your life going, oh, I've done that. Oh, I've done that. And around 2005-ish, I watched back-to-back episodes, 8 hours a day for an entire week during work hours, of a show that used to be on called Clean House. Niecy Nash, love her. And I didn't think anything of it because it was an easy show to watch while I was building websites. And back then I was coding. Now we're all in, WordPress and other things. So we have, some coding, but not as extensive as the entire site, hand coding it. And so it was a show that I didn't even have to pay that close attention to. But it was without even one thought about it, that Saturday came around and I was on this mad focus and intention of cleaning my entire house, purging and organizing. And if you know me, that's not me. I don't like anything domesticated. I don't like to cook and clean. And, I'm all the power for stay-at-home wives. And I know it's just as tough as a job, but I don't like what you do. I don't like that task. So I don't like that word. And so the fact that I was so motivated and I couldn't do anything until I got everything done in the entire house, I had to stop and go, what the heck is going on with me? Where did this come from? And I started laughing going, oh my gosh, I watched that show 8 hours all week long. And I was like, the next time I need to be motivated to clean my house, I'm going to watch back-to-back episodes of a cleaning show. Now, I tried to use Hoarders quite seriously to do this same thing, to motivate me to clean my house. But that show doesn't focus on the same thing that Clean House does. Clean House shows up and says, shame, shame, naughty, naughty. But then they create the 3 piles, keep, save, toss, give away. And they go through it quickly and they focus on that and the sales in a very positive aspect. Hoarders focuses more on the psychological issue behind the person who can't let go of anything and struggles to let go of anything. So that didn't project the energy within me to want to get rid of anything. In fact, I held on to things even more. So I said, no, can't do that. That's not what we were wanting. We were wanting to clean a house. That's the intention. So now I'll go find old videos of Clean House on the internet, and it will get me to clean my house. I will watch documentaries on vegetarianism, on food, on dieting, whether I want to follow that diet or not, because it'll motivate me to do the diet or the exercise if I watch exercise shows. So, okay, this is not a positive one, but again, it's about be careful what you joke about. And this is one I'm still catching myself quite a bit. You're not going to be able to change everything overnight necessarily, but you're aware of it. You know this is how you create, so you're going to catch yourself faster. And then eventually you're just not going to do it. So in about 2008, I had lost all the weight that I had gained when I had been married. And so my divorce weight from being married wasn't from the divorce, but from the marriage, I had lost, and it took me several years to get there. And it was pretty much a 30-pound weight loss. It's actually right where I'm at right now. I'm not standing, and there's a black chair behind me, so we're blending. But I was down, I'm 5'3.5". I was down to 123 pounds. And in 2010, 2009, they announced that our 20-year high school class reunion, which if anyone's watching this from there, hey, go Rail Splitters. So I wasn't fat. I had just lost all that weight. I was down to my 123 pounds. I'm short, so that's a good number for me. And for some reason, my mind just couldn't help itself. I joked about, I hope I'm pregnant by the time the class reunion comes around so that I can explain why I'm fat. And the reason it came up was because high school reunions, you deal with, fat and hair loss and this, divorce, and all those negative things that you think about that you didn't think prior to. Everybody goes on a diet, I guess. But for me, I was just joking about it because of the reunion. I wasn't fat. And I'm stating this because I didn't notice my diet change. I didn't notice that my excuses to not working out grew. I noticed that my scale went up 5 pounds, but I said, oh, it must be water weight. Not what we tell ourselves. I can lose it because I just lost 30 pounds. 5 pounds is easy. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Another 5 pounds added on. So much so that by the time the reunion came around, I went from a size 6 to a size 10. Okay? I had not connected at that point about the joke. I continued on after the reunion. That was 2010. So as of last year in 2007, so 7 years later, actually 2016, I started losing. So 6 years later, I was up from 123 pounds to 186 pounds because I did not pay attention and make myself aware. I did connect it to the joke. I actually connected it halfway through, but I didn't create a manifestation or an intention to purposely lose it. And it wasn't until 2016 that I said, you know what, enough. I'm making a decision. And remember, if you go back to the intentions video and the creation video, I say you have to have white hot intention and determination. Well, that's what I got. I'm down 30 pounds. I was up from a size 6 to between a size 14, 16. And it's not about numbers, but it's giving you kind of an idea. I'm now down the first 30 pounds. So now I have the other to go back, but it all started with a joke. Be careful what you joke about. And I've noticed it more than not that anytime I joke about something, and I was raised with self-deprecating jokes. So, that's something I'm really working to shift out. And I notice anytime I do, it shows up in my life. Okay, other ways that we create, and I'll get through this. We're almost done. Beliefs, not just religious beliefs. But what do you believe about life? What do you believe about other people, groups of people? Like, what do you believe about wealthy people? What do you believe about poor people? What do you believe about people on welfare? What do you believe about people who are CEOs of corporations? What you can and cannot do, have beliefs. I can't do this. I can do that. I'm this. I'm not that. That's being. I can have this, or I don't have that. Those are beliefs. Having, whether you're able to have, whether you're allowed to have, worthy enough to have, any of those things. They're judgments and opinions or beliefs. They bring about creation in your life. And so you need to look at some of your beliefs and go, you know what? I want to make money, but I think all wealthy people are greedy. Well, guess what? Law of attraction is going to say you don't want to be greedy because you find that a negative, so you're not going to get any money. You're conflicting here. So you've got to really watch what you're creating. If you go out and continually judge that, poor people are better off, a lot of people misinterpret the Beatitudes, as you need to be poor, when it's talking about you need to be humble in mind versus cockiness. They're two opposites, and there's a reason for that. So, and that's the next point. But you really need to focus on what you're believing about other people. You watch these shows and this person is insert judgment. That's a belief. And you're going to keep yourself in a scenario where you're barely making enough money because universe, God, infinite source is saying, oh, we can't, he doesn't want to become that. There's a judgment here. Ego-driven thoughts, that's the humble versus, and humility is not poor in your bank account. You're not better off just because you're poor. Do rich people have different problems? Yes, they're different. They're not more or less. They're just different. They're not thinking about if they can afford the milk. They're having other issues that they are dealing with. So, you know, it's just different. It's not better than, it's not worse than, it's just different. So being humble, in the Bible, they talk about there's two people praying. The soldier is standing up, or the, not the soldier, there's like a Pharisee is standing up praying, Lord, you have made me better than this little pathetic blah, blah, blah. You know, Lord, you have blessed me openly, outwardly, you know, and total ego. It's all about him. It's all about that motive. But yet that other person, you know, in the parable, Jesus says with a humble person, you know, thank you for blessing my life in gratitude, and for, you know, blessing my life. I don't remember what all the things he was praying, but it was quiet. It doesn't mean you have to be loud versus quiet. It's what's the motive behind it. And I've said it before, if you watch those game show type reality shows and they do an interview and the person's being cocky, I always know that's the person that's getting voted off that show. And it never fails. You can test the theory. But the notion that success is your best revenge, that's actually a negative motive that will work against you. Because vengeance, well, the Bible says vengeance is mine, says the Lord, but vengeance is karma that will come back and bite you. Someone else will be more successful than you. Comparing yourself to someone else is ego-driven thoughts and motives, and that too will work against you. I was losing weight one time, the first time around with a friend, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose it faster than her. I thought it. I never said it, and sure enough, she lost it first. Be careful of that ego. The most important part of the law, or the most important part, is getting to the law of allowing faster. And you want to ask, then release, knowing the answer will come. Seek until you get all the information formulated, the right vision, and then release to know it will come. Knock, take inspired action, knowing that all the details will fall into place as needed. So just to go over, I know I've probably gone over a little bit of time. I know I got a late start and I started with something I hadn't planned on, but it worked. You know, ask, seek, and knock are three ways. Anything that you're dealing with where it's auditory, visual coming in, and video games I didn't put on there. Video games is no different than military training. You know, they've proven that time and time again. But you're getting it into the mind, and the mind doesn't know the difference. I'm not against video games, but be cautious. Whatever your intention is, focus and allow only audio and video things that help you create the experiences you desire. So thoughts are ways that things come in, television shows, movies, music, songs, podcasts, YouTube videos, conversations, whether typed, Facebook, Instagram, the photos. If you're a graphic designer like me, anything you create, when I was creating this book, I'm creating. I like creating that book. I'm going to create more because I've been enjoying it. Serious or even joking conversations, phrases that you've used over the years, that your family has used for generations. You can tell I sit on my cross-legged. All the chiropractors are out there probably cringing right now. Anyways, phrases you use all the time, different ways that you have beliefs, whether not religious beliefs, you know, necessarily. I mean, it could be religious beliefs, but also judgments, opinions, and thoughts towards other people, and ego-driven thoughts and motives. So I'm going to work on how I brought these events consistently that I experienced to shifting them out by focusing opposite. And you guys know that there's a video tomorrow. There's only 2 videos this week because there's no real techniques and strategies. This is exactly how we create. So adding energy to this, which we'll discuss at another time, magnifies it. And you heard me talk a couple times, that's attraction. The belief is the set intention, and your energy magnified, having fun, joyful energy, being thankful, gratitude energy, putting love on it or out, is love energy, are all creative energy sources. So until tomorrow, when the Take C Action work is uploaded, you guys have a great day. Looks like I was alone on Facebook tonight, but that's okay. I'm going to make sure to upload this to YouTube, and it'll be low res because of the camera issue. And then I will make sure this stays on Facebook. So we'll add it into the PDF. So if you're doing it on your own pace and you're behind the videos, you'll get this one too. So have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I look forward to hearing how you guys are creating what you want. Bye.